Hello everyone, JSGC here, and we're here for another Manchester City transfer update, talking about all the ins and outs with Manchester City, of course, with just over a week to go until the transfer deadline day, and the window slams shut next Thursday, 5 PM in England. So yeah, plenty to talk about, plenty to discuss, with deals still coming in left, right and centre. So make sure if you're interested, make sure you press that red button, subscribe, press the bell, put your push notifications on. Make sure also you leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. If you want to go check out my social media links, Twitter and Instagram, they're in description below, popping up on screen. I'll keep you up to date with everything happening with Man City transfer news, retweeting sources, things like that. So go and follow me on there if you so wish. And don't forget to also leave your thoughts in the comments below, because I'm always interested in what you have to say. So we're going to crack on with the ins first. We're going to speaking about a player we mentioned a few videos back called Reinier Jesus. Plays for Flamengo over in Brazil, and sources in Brazil are saying that he's chosen his destination for his next club, and it won't be Manchester City. Apparently it's going to be Everton in a £36 million move, which I find absolutely incredible. Everton been very busy over the last few days trying to get last minute deals done here, there and everywhere. Apparently Reinier Jesus could well be one of them players. I know Man City were interested, but I was under no illusion that Man City were anything other than interested in this transfer, so we'll just wait to see if there is any official confirmation or whether it is just speculation. So we'll move on to the next player, and it comes in the form of Joao Cancelo of Juventus. Now, it has been reported yesterday, got an update from yesterday and today. So from yesterday, it had been reported that the move Manchester City had made with Juventus had stalled again. No agreement could be found. Price was an issue this time. Juventus still wanting, believed to be around 55 to 60 million euro. Man City willing to pay just under 50 million euro, and so the move had stalled once again. Now, Danilo wasn't the cause for this stall. It was in the previous movement Manchester City made a few weeks back, because Man City haven't sorted out the future of Danilo, and to me, this transfer isn't possible whilst Danilo is at Manchester City. Danilo is, of course, a non-homegrown player. Manchester City have maxed out their allocation of non-homegrown players for the season, so players have to leave for Cancelo to be able to sign. It doesn't make sense for Man City to go with 3 right backs, and so I can imagine either one or two things happening here. They could either drop Fernandinho into a centre-back player and use Danilo as a defensive midfielder and also a third option right back, which is possible, but once again it does still mean that a player has to leave for Cancelo to be brought in, because he isn't a homegrown player. And like I said, it's maxed out. I have done a video before speaking about homegrown players. You want to go and check that out with all of my thoughts on who's homegrown and who's not, then go onto my channel and go and find it, or I'll just leave the link at the end of this video if you want to go and check that out. But at this moment in time, the move to me isn't possible. Furthermore, adding on to that, lots of Italian sources were saying overnight that Juventus had met with Manchester City yesterday in London. That was in terms of the Joao Cancelo deal, and they were saying that an agreement now is close. City have already got personal terms ready to be offered to Joao Cancelo. Apparently he's ready to agree to it, €4.5 million a year for every year in wages. The fee was believed to be somewhere in between 50 to 55 million euro, so Man City and Juventus meeting each other halfway. I know that Juventus were in London yesterday to talk with Manchester United over the swap deal involving Paulo Dybala and Romelu Lukaku. So maybe there's some confusion about which Manchester clubs were meeting with whom from the Italian sources. But at this moment in time, Danilo's still at Manchester City. Danilo's still a Manchester City player. There's no update on Danilo leaving Manchester City. As far as I'm aware, there isn't a lot of interest in Danilo. And I'd be very surprised between now and the end of the window, with no interest being there, that he does leave Manchester City to end up somewhere else, unless City are hoping for something right at the back end of the transfer window for him to sell. I do not know. But obviously, European windows are open later, so maybe they'll be able to sell Danilo later and not register him, but that to me is a little bit unfair. And to me, I'm happy to go with Kyle Walker and Danilo as Manchester City's right backs, because I think they're both very good right backs, as they've proven over the last couple of seasons. I like Danilo. Danilo's a hard worker. He's a good player. And to me, his future has to be sorted first before this deal can happen. And to me, that will be the ultimate hold-up block here in this transfer. To me, isn't possible whilst Danilo's future still hasn't been decided, whether he'll stay at Manchester City or whether he'll leave. But I will keep close eyes on these developments. But Manchester City trying to make a move here. I was hoping to be making a move for a centre-back. I feel like that's more needed rather than signing a right-back, and I feel like Man City should be going for homegrown players here, considering they've not got room for non-homegrown players. But yeah, I sense a little bit of fake news here, if I'm honest, but I'll keep an eye on developments in case it isn't fake news and it turns out to be extremely true. We'll wait and see. Now, speaking of fake news, it moves us on to the outs. and it leads us on to Leroy Sane, because this is an incredibly complex deal to keep hold of, but I'm trying my best. So the Sane update at this moment in time: City really unhappy at the moment. They're unhappy with Bayern Munich over the pursuit of Leroy Sane. They're extremely unhappy with their manager Kovac. He apologised to Manchester City for making comments about Leroy Sane, and then at the end of his apology said, "We're extremely confident that we'll sign Leroy Sane." No agreement in place for Manchester City and Bayern Munich to be able to agree a fee and see Leroy Sane move over to Bayern Munich. That's a huge stumbling block here. Everyone's talking about, does Sane want to stay? Does Sane want to go? Are Man City going to block the transfer? Are they going to be able to agree personal terms? What about Leroy Sane's girlfriend and his mum who's involved in the move and things like that, and all this complicated stuff? At the end of the day, the most complex part of this deal is the fee. And if Bayern Munich think that they're getting Leroy Sane for a cut price cheap deal, they're in for a rude awakening. Leroy Sane's got 2 years left. Might not sound like a lot, but that's still quite a while until Leroy Sane has the ball in his court rather than in Manchester City's court. He's got 2 years left on his contract here at Leroy Sane, and to me, I'd be asking for triple figure £100 million bare minimum. That's what I'd be asking for. Manchester City are believed to be wanting between 90 and £100 million. Bayern Munich's never spent 90 to £100 million on a player, and I don't see them doing that for this deal. I do see them going to 60 to 70, maybe just over £70 million. To me, that is not enough to sign Leroy Sane. That's a huge stumbling block, because there's a huge price difference. 20 to 30 million pounds has to be made up over the next week. Someone left in the comments yesterday saying, rightfully, that the German transfer window doesn't shut until early September, which is true, so they can still pursue Leroy Sane once the English window shuts. Manchester City will not sell players once that window has shut, unless Manchester City want to sell them players. As did mention, Danilo could be one of them. He won't be registered if that's the case, so I doubt that's going to happen. Leroy Sane will be registered as a Manchester City player once that window is shut and the Premier League season has started. And so City aren't going to sell one of their registered players knowing full well that they're not in control of the situation until it gets to the winter window. We also have a transfer ban pending over us. We've got an investigation. We're not just being investigated for financial fair play. Our transfer with Jadon Sancho has also been investigated. If found guilty, could face the same punishment that Chelsea are currently got, which is a transfer ban, so they can't sign anybody. And so we might not, if we get given that ban, might not be able to replace Leroy Sane for over a year. So it wouldn't make sense for Manchester City, with the window shut, knowing full well that we can't replace them and not in control of our own destiny. I'm going to rule out right now, City will not sell. Soon as next Thursday, 5 PM's come and gone, and Leroy Sane, if he's still at Manchester City, will remain a Manchester City player until at least January. That's the situation we're in at this moment in time. Trying to make sense of this messy transfer, extremely difficult. Now, a transfer source called Transfer Market, not the most reliable source, I will admit. They're saying that Bayern Munich's got an agreement in place for them to sign Bayer Leverkusen winger Leon Bailey, a player that City had been previously linked with last summer, and I think, if I remember rightly, apparently being chased by Bayern Munich. Does that mean the pursuit of Leroy Sane is over? Well, Bild, again, not the most reliable source, saying that isn't the case, and they're still chasing Leroy Sane, and they're believed to have made a bid for him and closing in on Leroy Sane. Like I said before, my understanding of this transfer is that no bids have been made as of yet. There's lots of fake news going around Germany, particularly from companies like Bild and from AS over in Spain, who are working closely with sources close to Bayern Munich, who are trying to spread as much news as possible to generate as much interest in this transfer as possible, probably to try and grind down that price. But they're getting as bad as Italian and Portuguese sources, incredibly difficult sources to work with, because you get lots of contradicting sources. What I'm waiting for is sources in the UK close to Manchester City to speak about this deal. I've heard absolutely nothing. Read into that what you will. Latest sources coming in from Germany were saying that Leroy Sane has got permission to speak with Bayern Munich from Manchester City, so Leroy Sane can have a choice. Does he want to stay? Does he want to leave? Like I said, even if Leroy Sane does end up saying that he does want to leave, which is what was reported yesterday, it's believed that that's in his head now, that he wants to leave. Even if that's the case, Bayern Munich still need to pay up. And like I said, he won't come cheap. It won't be an easy transfer to get over the line. They've got till 5 PM next Thursday. Manchester City will not NOT, capital NOT, will not sell Leroy Sane once that 5 p.m. deadline's gone. That would be not catastrophic, but it'd be incredibly reckless of Manchester City to do something like that. City are very sensible, very smart in the transfer market. That doesn't sound like something Manchester City would do. To me, that won't be done. So we're going to keep an eye on the developments. We've got a developing story with Cancelo. I'm hoping we'll get an update on Danilo so we can have developments there. If he does leave, then Manchester City will more than likely be signing Joao Cancelo. And of course, I'll be keeping you up to date with everything happening with Leroy Sane. That's where we're at this moment in time. Don't rule out City making moves for centre-backs either. Keeping an eye on the Harry Maguire. £80 million apparently Man United are willing to pay. Rest assured, if it's something like 70 million plus maybe 10 million in add-ons, that might tempt City back into the market for Harry Maguire to compete with Man United, because Manchester City were willing to pay around £70 million for Harry Maguire, a homegrown player, and of course City needing a centre-back. So I'm going to keep an eye on them developments. Got nothing on Nathan Ake as of yet. Still got a week left to go here. All action, very tense. I'll keep you up to date with everything happening first and fast. Make sure you subscribe, press that red button, press the bell, put your push notifications on to be notified immediately when I've uploaded, so you can stay in the loop and up to date as quickly as possible. Go and check out my social media links. Find them in description below, popping up on screen, my Twitter and Instagram if you want to stay up to date with everything happening with Man City in between me doing these daily Manchester City transfer updates on YouTube. Go and check me out. And also, don't forget, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all again tomorrow for the next daily Manchester City transfer update. So I'll see you then. So it's been JSGC. I hope you'll have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace. Ciao for now.